Hey everyone, this is Adam Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Today we're going to take a look at Venus's trine to Jupiter. Venus is in the sign of Aquarius, making a trine to Jupiter, who is in Gemini. Venus trines to Jupiter are arguably one of the more benefic transits that we see in the sky because trines are of the nature of Jupiter, and then you have both benefics connecting. So we're going to explore the meaning of this connection between the benefics today and do horoscopes for all 12 signs. I think this is, I wrote this down as one of the best transits of the year when I did my research for 2024 at the end of last year. And so, we'll see. And but I think what is nice is to look at the whole sign houses where these two planets are connecting in our birth charts today. So we'll do horoscopes and see if we can't pin down where we might see the manifestations of these two planets connecting right now. Before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe. Share your comments and reflections if you have them or a story to share. You can find transcripts of any of these daily talks on my website, which is nightlightastrology.com. I'm going to take you over there right now because we have an event tonight. There is a live webinar that I'm hosting on the 6th house. So if you go over to nightlightastrology.com and you click on the events page, go to live talks, you will see that this evening I'm giving a talk on the 6th house. You can register right here. Get the link to the live webinar from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. And if you can't attend live, of course, we'll send you the replay so you can watch or download the recording afterward. The other thing that's happening is this weekend, we're hosting a solstice event in Minneapolis at the Grapevine Collective, which is located at the new city center in Minneapolis. This is free to attend. We're just getting together to do some movement and some meditation and a little time to connect with each other around the winter solstice. So you can RSVP there. It's free. Got to be in it's not online. It's an in-person event. So if you're in the Twin Cities area, I hope to see you there. That ought to be fun. And of course, you all know that I'm in promotion mode for my Kickstarter campaign. We have, as of the time that I'm recording this intro for today's video, we are on our way towards 600 backers. But that means that we still need, between 13 and 1,400 more backers. And we have just 13 days left to go. It'll probably be a little bit less than that by the time you're hearing this. So that means we need a big push of support to try and reach our goal of 1,937 backers by New Year's Eve or January 1st when the clock strikes. But I think it technically ends January 1st, like 10 in the morning or something. But we're going to try to get to our goal by then. Thank you to everybody who has already pitched in and supported. Every single donation matters. You can find the donation link, the Kickstarter link, in the comments section pinned to the top, the description of this video, or on the website, nightlightastrology.com. Click on the 2025 Kickstarter link. When you go over to the Kickstarter campaign, you will see that there are a variety of rewards available, including major discounts on all of our online programs. Those sales are the best of the year. They go up to 75% off when you bundle our courses together, and at least 50% off the normal price, which we only run once per year during this Kickstarter campaign. They're renewable anytime you want. Pledges are taken out January 1st. So you make your pledge now. They will charge whatever card you use on January 1st. Clarify that for people. But there's a bunch of other rewards too, and I'll tell you about them after today's video is done. There's a little additional video I've tagged on to explain the different rewards that are available. Like I said, we need a really big push. We are right now like 150 backers behind last year's pace. So if we are going to match or beat last year's record, which will land us in the financial range that we need to reach, we really need a big push here in the last, couple of weeks, less than a couple of weeks now, like 12, 13 days. So a request to donate if you haven't already. Thank you to everybody who has. We really appreciate it. One thing that I like to mention is what I think is valuable about this channel. And I've been saying kind of, if you can check this box, then please consider donating. Well, one of the things that I find both rare and valuable about this work is that it is unique to find a blend of archetypal, psychological, and ancient or traditional Hellenistic astrology in one content, in one form of content. Often we have to go to one place to hear something more psychological or archetypal, and we have to go to another place to hear something traditional, Hellenistic, etc. So if you appreciate that when you listen to this channel, you get a little bit of that Hellenistic flavor along with some of the elements of modern psychological and archetypal astrology, and if you appreciate that blend, and you recognize that that's not something you find everywhere, then please consider supporting the channel because that is a unique thing that is intentionally crafted for this audience. So on that note, let us now turn our attention to one of the most benefic transits of the year. I apologize. I'm like red in the face and I've got this thing around me. A couple times a year, I might get a massage. I got one this morning and I have like the little thing you put your face in, like imprinted on my face now. And it'll probably be this way for like a whole day. But it was a good massage. And I'm always like, I should do this more often. I don't know why I don't do this. It's pricey and stuff like that. But, it's like, anyway, whatever. I'm rambling. Enjoy today's video. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Venus is trining Jupiter today. We're going to do horoscopes for all 12 signs. There are 3 themes that I want us to watch for given this trine. I'm going to lay out the timeline, tell you about these themes, and then we're going to go through all 12 whole sign house horoscopes and show you how the houses that Venus and Jupiter are connecting through by trine are connected philosophically, because houses connected by trines are all connected philosophically. This will be a good time for me to sort of preview my 2025 masterclass series that I'm doing starting in the new year on the houses connected by trines, why they're connected, how they're connected in topics philosophically, and how we can actually read them as a little community within the chart. So anyway, more on that as we go. You'll kind of see what I mean with each horoscope. Let me go ahead and put up the real-time clock first, and let's take a look at the timeline. So here we are today, Thursday, December 19th, and you can see that Venus in Aquarius is moving into the trine with Jupiter in Gemini. Now, this would have been something you have been probably feeling since maybe Tuesday, when they come into within about 3 degrees of one another, and then building yesterday, and then building into today. And by tomorrow, you see they're just a degree apart. So let's give it 3 degrees of separation, which takes us through Sunday. So really the nice connection that we're seeing between these 2 planets is something that is happening early this week all the way through the end of the week. And so you can think about what we're talking about today in these horoscopes, in terms of what's happening for you right now, like literally today, but also what might be happening as the week goes on and we come into the weekend. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to eliminate everything from our perspective except for these 2 planets, so that we can really sort of key in on them. Okay, so here are the trines. Now, what I want to do for you is, as we go through all 12 whole sign house horoscopes, you can listen to your sun or your rising sign. I'm going to tell you why these houses are connected philosophically and what they have in common, and then therefore what the connections might mean. But before we do that, I want to talk about 3 themes to watch for. And this would be for everyone, for all horoscopes, for all signs. These are general significations of Venus's trine to Jupiter, which we're going to talk about first. So the first one would be good fortune and good spirit conspiring. I mentioned this in the weekly overview video, but let's reiterate. The lesser benefic Venus is, to put it simply, when you think about the things that make a day enjoyable, or that make an everyday worldly material experience pleasant, there is nothing to scoff at in this. This is not lesser in the sense of being less important. The lesser benefic really in some ways refers to the worldly benefic, the material benefic, the one that we experience in a very everyday way. That's Venus. So when I say, gosh, that food was good, I'm feeling nice today. Gosh, I feel like my outfit's put together. I'm looking good. I'm having an enjoyable time with my friends. Things went well at work. Some unexpected good luck came along. I was easily able to harmonize a situation that was difficult with other people. So when that feeling of just the wind is at your back, and the feeling is that life is conspiring for the good, it's a lucky, fortunate kind of feeling. That's Venus. Venus, although she has the meaning of being about love and relationships and sensuality, she is also, broadly speaking, the adornment of the material universe, what makes it attractive, pleasant, enjoyable. And so in an everyday way, when we see Venus coming into any aspect, we think about the goddess of good fortune, of good luck, of the enjoyment of life, for God's sake. And then think about Venus connecting in a trine. Trines are of the nature of Jupiter, so a very harmonious aspect. Good fortune conspiring with good spirit. The house of Venus, the 5th house, was called, the house that she rejoiced in was called the house of good fortune. She's the goddess of fortune. Then when we think about the house of Jupiter, the 11th house where Jupiter rejoiced, was called the house of good spirit. So when you think about Jupiterian beneficence, and believe me, we're not talking about the dark side of either of these planets, and there can be, depending on dignity, placement, aspect, all sorts of contextual factors that can make a benefic functionally malefic. And what we mean by that is just that it can represent things that are in consensus reality described or feel difficult. Described as difficult, feel difficult. So yes, they can do that. We're not focusing on that today because we're here to be merry, damn it. We're here to have fun. Okay. So anyway, Jupiter at its best, the most benefic part about Jupiter is that it is that feeling that the universe itself is a meaningful place. How many of you have been through an experience like this? You're feeling a little bit lost. You don't know what your purpose is. You don't know where you're going. And then all of a sudden you found astrology. At some point in your life, you found astrology. I can tell you what that felt like for me. Oh my God. I knew it. I knew that the universe was this beautiful, intelligent place. And I knew there was such a thing as a language of astrology. I kind of knew it, and now it's here, and all I want to do is learn it. It's a very Jupiterian moment in the sense that you feel as though life is conspiring, that life is your ally, that life is your friend, that the cosmos or universe is conspiring to help you grow and learn and become wiser and more enlightened. And there's meaning in things. And there's that feeling of religious inspiration, religious meaning to reconnect, religio, right? Like ligaments that are being connected. I'm connecting things. I'm connecting the dots. I feel inspired by and faithful and hopeful about life. When you meet people, when you're in a business and you're trying to build and network, and it's hard because you're at ground level, and all of a sudden you meet some allies, you meet some people, you get some opportunities. That's a Jupiterian feeling too, because all of a sudden you feel as though things are conspiring in a greater social way, in a fortuitous way to help you. So let's look at this. There we go. Yeah. So fortuitous from Latin forte, by chance, chance or luck, happening by chance, or with a sense of coming from above. I know where that. I mean, fortuitous has that connection to fortune, right? This is the greater fortune. Where is it? Yes. Okay. So it has the sense also, this is the one I was looking for. So the etymology bears also in its roots to being able to bear children or being able to carry something successfully. And so anyway, the point is whenever I think about the words that we often use to describe Jupiter, like fortuitous, you think of something, I'm going to be able to do something. I'm going to be able to accomplish something. I'm going to be supported. There's going to be, and then you have this greater sense of those of us who are spiritual by nature or have taken up a spiritual path of some kind. When Jupiterian things happen, you feel like, yes, no, I am on a path. I have a path. I was feeling really lost and overwhelmed, wasn't sure my purpose, but things have happened and remind me that I'm on a path and I'll be supported. I'll find my way. That greater kind of almost philosophical, universal, dharmic sense of good fortune that, where you feel like good spirits are around. See the difference, the slight distinction between that and the more everyday, sensual, embodied dimension of good fortune. And they're both relevant. They're both important. I don't see one as better than the other. But here's the thing. When good fortune and good spirit get together, in a trine, which is of the nature of Jupiter, it is as though circumstances, everyday embodied circumstances, the Venusian dimension of good fortune, and that broader overarching sense of good fortune are coming together, conspiring with each other to provide a sense of support. That is why I jokingly titled this the best transit of the year, because when the benefics get together, they typically, in a trine, right? You get maybe a couple per year like this. And when you look at all of the transits that we typically cover in a year, you're thinking a lot about the squares, the oppositions, the conjunctions, and often with the outer planets involved, it's like, God, every week is some kind of shamanic transformational, the crows are picking our bodies apart. Where it's like, Jesus, So it's really, I'm in a good mood today. It was Venus, Jupiter. So we like having some nice transits along the way that are kind of supportive, that feel like, hey, things are conspiring both in basic, everyday enjoyable ways and in that overarching sense of being on a path and being supported. Those two, when they come together in a trine, wow. Now they're in air signs as well. And so the next thing on my list to watch for is support, help, allies, and development. There's a very social dimension to the air signs. We're talking about people, we're talking about communities, we're talking about groups. We're talking about the feeling of being connected and finding support and enjoyment and upliftment through people. So support, help, allies, and development with a distinctly social aura. That would be the Venus trine to Jupiter in the air signs. Now remember, we're going to keep these things in mind as we apply them to horoscopes. And number 3, enjoyment, happiness, harmony, and pleasure. Just broadly speaking, even if this transit shows up in no other way than a good breeze of happiness, enjoyment, good fortune, sometimes it's nice to just feel the sun shining psychically. And this is a transit that is very well known for, most people during such transits will feel a little overflow of abundance or happiness or just good luck or even just being able to harmonize with difficult things and finding that you're able to just flow around and through things rather than really getting caught up in difficulties or obstacles. Any of those things, we shouldn't underestimate how nice it is to have a little support, especially considering, we've got a Jupiter-Saturn square and we're revising a paradigm, and we've got, a Mars retrograde and it's coming into an opposition with Pluto and we're all freaking out, It's like, oh my God, sometimes you just need to press the pause button, and it can feel like when these two planets connect. As an astrologer, one thing that I notice is that it almost is as if all of the other transits are like coated in this beautiful, I don't know, it's like, like a dusting of snow in Minnesota in the winter is one of my favorite things to wake up to. The world looks magical and mystical. And sure, there's still some of the same old stuff but now it's coated in snow. It looks beautiful. So sometimes the connection of a trine like this in the midst of other major aspects that are forming, retrogrades we're going through, whatever, can just give everything a coat of magnificence. Look at this. Look at this life we're living. Even that perspective for 2 seconds, I find it's always welcome. So anyway, we'll leave it there. Now let's go into some horoscopes. Okay, we're going to shift over to our chart here. Now, I always recommend listening for your rising sign. That'll correspond with the whole sign house version of your birth chart. But let's get into it. 11 and 3. So these houses, 11, 7, and 3, in Indian astrology are connected to the topic of Kama, as in the Kama Sutra, as in pleasure, as in romance, intimacy, love. But in a broader sense, it is about social harmonization. Like one of the meanings of these 3 houses is that they all have to do with distinctly social environments in our life, where the goal is to connect both meaningfully and pleasurably with other human beings. So when you think about this within the context of the 3rd and the 11th houses, we think about some broader social dimension of life, perhaps more societal, or or we think about the 3rd house as more environmental, like your village, your neighborhood, the people relative to your roots, like family members, siblings. And then again, the 11th house, you think of broader communities, networks, organizations of people, allies, and the kind of people that you call friends in a larger, maybe philosophical or ideological sense or professional context. So what I like about this is that there's connection between the local environment, the village, the everyday world that you inhabit, and the larger social dimensions of your life that are harmonious right now. So if you're an Aries, what you want to watch for are meaningful connections socially that offer opportunities for positive connection, development of ambitions, support with projects, and maybe even closer relationships or more tight-knit relationships within a local sphere people you can connect with that are closer to home. I also like this as beneficial things coming through the mind, the mental and emotional environment of the 3rd house, and finding allies and like-minded people who are wired similarly to you. So watch for this kind of meaningful connections across 2 houses that were concerned with social connections and happiness within those connections. So it's interesting to see how the houses were connected by philosophical meaning. Let's go forward to Taurus. So with Taurus, we're talking about how I love it when the big arrow appears, like out of nowhere, like, hey, I'm here. Okay, so here we here we have here we have Venus and Jupiter connecting in a trine. Houses 10 and 2. Now, these three houses, 10, 2, and 6, in Indian astrology were related to the idea of artha, which is the pursuit of wealth, power, position, mastery, rank, notoriety, vocation, your job. And so 10, 6, and 2 are all houses that are related to the same, broadly speaking, the same philosophical pursuit in life. In the second house, we might be developing resources, building resource. It might be what we have, what we possess, like money, but also assets and the development of assets, which could also mean skills. And in the 10th house, we're talking about the environment of the workplace and perhaps the actual vocation or the title or the type of vocation. And so when these two houses connect benefically, we're looking at the potential for things like prosperity, positive developments in your career, maybe with a distinctly social aura, like finding the right kinds of social support networks and so forth. I love, for example, that for me, I'm a Taurus rising. These two planets are connecting as we're holding a free solstice gathering here in Minneapolis. That ought to be fun. Anyway, so as these two planets are connecting, we're thinking about building maybe more social connections through our work, or we're thinking about positive forms of development of support that can come in both professionally and maybe financially, and things that we're building or developing that have a communal flavor and maybe have to do with a creative allocation of resources or a new way of doing business or something like that. So a really nice form of support around two houses that are both connected to things like work, money, development of things that have to do with work, money, finances, skills, and skill development. And then there's this really nice communal dimension to it with the two benefics in air signs. Okay, Gemini. Now we're connecting houses 1 and 9, which were also connected in trine to house 5. Indian astrologers associated these houses with Dharma. That is the purpose or function that we are naturally meant to fulfill as a soul who comes into this lifetime with unique gifts and abilities, unique calling. And so the development of Dharma in the first house is mostly linked to character and the development and cultivation of character, skills, and abilities, whereas the 9th house has to do with the ongoing process of learning, spirituality, and enlightenment, which is absolutely fundamental to the development of Dharma. To develop Dharma personally, we have to understand Dharma universally, which is to say, if we want to understand truth within ourselves, we also have to pursue truth in general. So for Geminis right now, there's a really nice connection flowing between ongoing study and the pursuit of truth or spirituality or wisdom and the ongoing cultivation of self-development and religious, spiritual, philosophical, or educational development are nicely harmonizing right now for Geminis. And there's, again, a pretty social dimension with these air signs that could mean it's connecting with other people. For Cancers, we have houses 12 and 8, also naturally connected to house 4. All of these houses called moksha in Indian astrology, which means liberation. Liberation from what? From karma. From karma, from entanglements, from worldly coverings that maybe cast a cloud or shadow over our consciousness, make it hard to see. The purpose of these houses is in many ways to help us be liberated from things that bind us or tie us in the material world, that keep our consciousness covered over and to have us living in ignorance. We want to be free from those things. Moksha means liberation. So spiritual liberation connected to these houses. Interesting, and how each one is a little bit different. 12, 8, and 4, all connected to the topic of moksha. Now, 8 and 12 are probably the two of these three houses that are the most difficult. But for Cancers, with positive connections happening between these places, you think of the potential for unconscious areas of life to be explored and examined, and for healing to take place because of the meaningful exploration taking place in relationships or taking place within various social settings. The 8th house has a lot to do with our karmic exchanges with other souls. What are we obligated to give and receive in various soul contracts that we have with other people? And in the 12th house, we're often gaining some distance from the world and some perspective by stepping outside of normal ego consciousness. Sometimes that could mean that we're also visiting places that are deeply unconscious, painful, undermining, and destructive. But also the connection of the benefics in these houses suggests that the excavating or mining of difficult material right now personally, socially, collectively, is going to perhaps lead to some healing and some breakthroughs. When you see the benefics connected in these houses, you think about forces that are conspiring for greater spiritual liberation. Spiritual liberation can happen in these houses because of meaningful things that are taking place to eliminate or burn off karma. That's a really powerful thing for Cancers right now. Even if some of the burning off is difficult, you got to love that the benefics are connecting to aid in the process of spiritual liberation. All right, let's keep going. So we go to Leo next. And with Leo, we see 11 and 7. Now we're back in the social houses. 11 and 7 bring out larger social dimensions of life, communal, organizational, things like allies, communities, colleagues. And then the 7th house, which is more interpersonal, having to do more with things like relationships, love, marriage, intimacy. So what I like is that we're seeing a very positive connection between the house of community and the house of relationships. All three of these places, again, being broadly about the pursuit of pleasure and so in and through social dimensions of life. Do we feel that we have a happy social existence? Well, for Leos right now, there's some really nice connectivity between the house of love and relationships and community. It is as though there may be some connection between your relationship and the ability to find communities of people that both you and a partner get along with. Or it could be, for example, that you're meeting someone because of a community. You're literally meeting and dating someone that you meet in some larger community space. Could also be that there are allies and groups and people that are coming to you and are beneficial, and they're coming through a partner or a spouse. But either way, the houses of 7 and 11 are meaningfully connecting you to people, groups, communities that should offer support and a degree of happiness and what's the word I'm looking for? And harmony. There we go. Sorry. Okay. Move along to Virgo. So with Virgo, we see them back in the Artha houses, the work houses, 10 and 6, also connected to 2 by Trine. All 3 houses having to do with work. So when we connect planets in the 6th and the 10th, we're thinking about the daily work and grind, the chop wood, carry water house of the wheel, the 6th house, which we've got a webinar on, so we can you can attend that this evening, by the way. But anyway, the 6th house, work, sickness, sacrifice, slavery. Benefic connections from the 6th to the 10th would generally mean that the people that you hire or employ, as well as the overall goals of the workplace, are coming together. This would be a nice productive transit for a team of people that you watch over or that you are in charge of somehow. There could also be meaningful connections between the daily work that you perform and the results that your work is paying off, or that the sacrifice, effort, labor that you have put into something is naturally finding support or is developing in positive ways. It could also be that you're finding new and more productive ways to work, more enjoyable ways to perform work, or different kinds of ways to improve or enhance the quality of the work life or the work environment. And also, just generally speaking, positive social connections that are aiding in the successful development and building of things that you're working toward. All of this would look really good right now, looks really good right now for our Virgos. All right, if you're a Libra, we're back into the Dharma houses, and that means 9, 5, and 1. Well, with 9 and 5, we're talking about the cultivation of wisdom, knowledge, education, the pursuit of truth. That Dharma house is really the house where all of us look to seek enlightenment and try to understand. If you're into astrology, that was associated with the 9th house. Anything where we're pursuing an understanding of truth and spirituality, intellectually, philosophically. So there's a great emphasis for Libras right now on the growth of intellect, mind, maybe through a process of questioning or even allowing yourself to doubt and ask questions that are meaningful. You are coming gradually to better or more understanding of something. The emphasis on education and learning is also connected to the ongoing role of creativity in your life. The 5th house, often I've heard it described multiple occasions as the joy derived from one's dharma. If we're in our dharma, if we're in our essence and we're offering something of our true nature to the world, and we're learning and growing spiritually, there should also be a natural overflow of happiness, good fortune, and creative fulfillment. It's just a byproduct of seeking truth and of living as authentically as we can. So, right now, the question is between the house of creative fulfillment and good fortune and happiness in life, coming from living in touch with your essence, and also the ongoing pursuit of truth, knowledge, the ongoing spiritual quest described by the ninth house. Also, wonder about the kind of people in your life right now that may be supporting you both intellectually, spiritually, and creatively. There's also a possible connection between topics like spirituality and children, or child rearing, or parenting, or pregnancy with the fifth house Venus. But I love this as a moment for Libras where philosophically and creatively things are conspiring to support you. All right, let's look at Scorpio. So with Scorpio, we're back in the moksha houses, and that's going to be 8, 12, and 4. Now, when we look at house 4 and 8, we're looking at the house of home and family and the place of karmic debts and exchanges. And so, with two planets coming together in this place, I like the idea that there may be beneficial things that you are giving and receiving between yourself and other family members. Now, that could be a spouse's family, it could be an extended family, or your family, or your family of origin. So, when you see the benefics connecting in this place, you think about what forms of support and aid and blessing and good fortune are we giving and receiving relative to things like marriage and family, or family members, or soul contracts that sort of aid in the development or assistance of family or property or home, things like that. There's also a chance that you're taking out a loan to buy a property, or that you're finding support for the development of things like your dreams and goals with respect to home, family, or your living environment. So any kind of support that supports you at the roots, or any kind of karmic contracts that also need to be. The thing about moksha in these houses is that there's karmic attachments that we're always burning off in these houses. And then there are also soul contracts with other people, the benefits of which may aid in our spiritual growth. And so what kinds of benefits that aid in your spiritual growth are also available to you right now? I mean, one of the things that can aid in our spiritual growth is feeling like we have a safe place to live every day. And then we live in less anxiety about basic things. It's like Maslow's hierarchy. When your basic needs are squared away, it's easier to start thinking about spiritual things, isn't it? So we could be looking at something like that as well. Excuse me. All right, let's go on. We put Sagittarius on the ascendant. We're back in the Kama houses, these social houses of 7 and 3. Connected also to house 11. So we get the trines in there. But the 3rd and the 7th houses are really interesting because we're really talking about the intersection between our everyday environment, including mind and body, in the the local space around us, and the culture that we live in, or the village or neighborhood we live in, and beneficial connections in things like marriage and relationships. Any kind of intimate interpersonal relationships connected to your everyday life, the life of the mind. This could be about meaningful, fun, uplifting conversations you're having with close friends. It could be about nice exchanges, beneficial, harmonious exchanges that you're having with any kind of people that are both, somehow local to you, as well as maybe more personal to you. It's also maybe about broadening our minds and bringing in new kinds of people into our life or our sphere of activity. It could be about considering and opening our minds to other people from different walks or ways of life with different ideas about life. There's a kind of smooth, flowing openness to others that I love about this for Sagittarians. There's also some kind of willingness to exchange value with other people, as opposed to insisting on one's own way. I can't help but think for Sagittarians, you've got Mercury turning direct in your first house, going back into that opposition with Jupiter. The Venus trine to Jupiter here suggests to me an openness and a willingness to harmonize with others intellectually, or to make room for different kinds of people and different kinds of experiences socially that at other times you might be opposed to. So I like this kind of open-mindedness, open-spiritedness, and things conspiring to support you around relationships. All right, let's move on. So we go to Capricorn, and we are back in the Arta houses. We have 2, 10, and 6, but the connection with Venus and Jupiter is between 2 and 6. What I love about this is hard work pays off. You're thinking about the goddess of good fortune around the topic of money, possessions, finances, connecting with Jupiter in the 6th house of the daily grind. And what it makes me think about instantly is, with these two planets trining one another, sort of favorably connected, it's like, well, if you are putting in a lot of work and effort, you're going to feel as though you are being supported. And that sometimes there's, like I was saying earlier with Jupiter, there's no better feeling than the universe conspiring to support you. Well, when you're building something, when you're building a business, you're building skills, you're developing abilities, all of which you're hoping to build a career out of, or you're hoping to make money from, or develop your material assets through, there's nothing better than feeling like there's a wave of support or signs of good things to come. There is a social dimension to this transit that could suggest different favorable forms of social support or connection, helping you build skills, develop things you're working on, find success in things like business, money, and work. There's also something here that might be about hiring the right person, or finding the right connections of people to work with or for, or to hire, or something like that. Let's go forward to Aquarius, where we now have the Dharma houses emphasized with Venus in the 1st and Jupiter in the 5th. Remember, they're also connected to the 9th. The question becomes about truth. Who am I truly? What do I have to give truly? How do I live in accord with my essence? The 9th house being about the learning and the development of spiritual insight, also Dharma. And then the 5th house, the joy, the benefits, the blessings derived from one's Dharma, and the creative fulfillment that we need from our Dharma, that we experience when we're in alignment with it. Living in alignment with our Dharma means living in alignment with a creative essence that is very fulfilling, the natural byproduct of which is happiness. So Venus in the 1st, Jupiter in the 5th, for Aquarians, is emphasizing that right now there is a space for you to feel both personally and creatively fulfilled. It could be that there are various social dimensions of life that are also conspiring to offer support for you, both as a person who is evolving and developing, as well as a creative who is maybe trying to disseminate, share, or do something creative. I like this as a time of great support for Aquarians in both terms of personal development of health, body, vitality, as well as creativity and a kind of uplifting energy that can help you feel happier, both with who you are and how you're living your life, with some sense of creative fulfillment. So nice little energies coming through here. And then let's end with Pisces, where we're back in the moksha houses. We have 12 and 4 connected. What I find really interesting about this is that sometimes there are things that are happening in places that we can't see, that are meant to bless us. So the unconscious of the 12th house and the 4th house, the place of home and family and roots, both represent spheres of life that it's not always easy to be fully conscious of. It's not easy to be fully conscious of where we come from, our ancestral roots, our past lives, our family karma. And of course, the 12th house is naturally a place that is like a blind spot to the native. So when you put these two things together, but beneficially, I think to myself, this is a time where we may come to understand things that we haven't been able to see. And that understanding is a real blessing. There are moments where you understand something about your past, you understand something about your history, you understand something about yourself that you haven't been able to see. And it is so helpful. And you feel so relieved, so unburdened to see something. Even if it's difficult, you feel that way. I see something like this for Pisceans. On the other hand, one thing that I would look at would be the potential for positive connections that are serving to resolve old karmas. So the resolution of old karma, Jupiter in the 4th with respect to Venus in the 12th, could be that there are, magical ways in which things from the past that have been difficult or hard are finding a natural point of resolution, of peace, of letting go, of surrender. And there's a great feeling of benefic release behind that. I also look at this as a time where some degree of distance, reflection, solitude, contemplation could be very beneficial for Pisceans right now. And I also think about the potential for family connections, things like siblings or sisters, or the unconscious dimensions of family life are being explored or connected to in ways that can be very beneficial or useful right now. So these are just a few ideas to work with as we approach this trine today. I hope that we strike some chords in your hearts as we go along, that you're able to see some meaningful connections in the Venus-Jupiter trine and however it's showing up today. But remember, if we don't hit on something in the whole sign houses that we just looked at, go back to good fortune and good spirit conspiring, support, help, allies, and development, a social dimension of air, enjoyment, happiness, harmony, and pleasure as things that are just sort of in the air. And I'm emphasizing the most positive dimensions of this transit today because sometimes it's good to do that. Sometimes it's good to look at one of the, when we talk about Mars and Uranus conjoining, I don't blow smoke up anybody's ass. I mean, that can be a really difficult transit, and we talk about exactly why. Well, this can be a really good one, and it largely is. It often is. And so I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass about this either. It's good. Have fun. Enjoy it, damn it. All right, that's it. I hope you guys have a good one. Stick around. I'm going to tell you more about rewards that are available when you support the channel. Guys, we have a long ways left to go, and I really need your help to get there. So if you haven't donated yet, please consider supporting us. $5, $10. It all goes a really long way to helping us reach our goals. By New Year's Eve, we still need a ton of support. So if you haven't yet, please consider again. And thank you to everybody who has already donated. We really appreciate you. Okay, take it easy. Bye. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around. I'm going to tell you about the different rewards that we offer when you donate and support our channel in the year ahead. So you'll find a link to the Kickstarter in the description of this video, in the comments section of this video, as well as on our website, nightlightastrology.com. If you head over there, you'll see at the top of the page there is a menu item that says Kickstarter 2025. You can click on that and be taken over to the Kickstarter campaign page. So once you're there, if you scroll down on the right-hand side, you're going to see different pledge levels and different gifts and sales that we run as a way of saying thank you for your support. So among those, our most popular offering by far are the major discounts that we offer on our training programs. So if you are interested in studying astrology at Nightlight in 2025, whether you're a brand new student or a currently enrolled student who's thinking of taking one of our year 2, 3 horary programs, you're going to find that these are the best rates that we run on the entire year. And we do this as a way of both saying thank you and also of helping us raise funds to support the channel, our staff, and everything we do. So you'll see attend one Nightlight course there. That's about 50% off the total cost of the program and about $500 off the early bird rate. And then you'll scroll down and you'll see that if you bundle 2 courses together, the savings go way up. Bundle 3, they go up even more. I mean, the difference between the 2 and 3 class package is $200. So $200 more, you get 3 of our year-long programs. And if you get all the way to the 4 class pass, then you have all 4 years of our program. You can take them at any pace you like, renew them whenever you like. There's no timeline on when you use these class passes. And you will have all 4 years of content at about 75% off each of the programs individually when you get that bundle. So those are our best savings for sure. Highly recommend those. If you have any questions about our courses or programs, email us info@nightlightastrology.com or look at the website under the courses page. You'll find information about each of the individual courses we offer. And then if you scroll up, you're going to find some of our other programs that are greatly discounted. Ashley's Herbal Foundations apprenticeship course, which many people are interested in who come through our Moon Circle that Ashley and I lead each month. You scroll up, you're going to find our masterclass series for 2025, greatly discounted, as well as our Roots and Spheres Moon Circle, greatly discounted. There's hundreds of dollars of savings in each of those. So we really try to make sure that the Kickstarter acts as a good flash sale for all of our programs. You'll then find some really nice prices on previous archive talks, like our 2024 archive masterclass bundle, which is about 30 hours worth of content on specialized topics in astrology. You can see the topics listed in each of the bundles as you scroll through. 2023's masterclass bundle, huge savings on those and a lot of really great content. You'll see a few reading options as you continue to go from the bottom to the top. You'll see the 2025 year ahead mini reading. There's only 30 of these. These are individualized birth chart readings that I do, looking at the most significant transit in your birth chart for 2025. I record those personally. You'll then see that there is an Ask 3 Horary Questions option where you can get 3 horary questions to redeem whenever you'd like within the year ahead. Those are kind of yes, no predictive questions. Will I get the job? Will we get together? Things like that. Then you'll see the Astrology for Complete Beginners course is also discounted through the Kickstarter. This is a great 10 hours worth of content for people who are brand new to astrology. So whether that's you or maybe a gift for somebody else. And then you're going to see some individual master classes that are greatly discounted from the past year. So all of 2024's masterclass series are the archives of which 8 to 10 hours each are on sale. And then scroll up a little bit more and you'll see one of our most popular offerings, which are the year ahead horoscope readings. These year ahead horoscope readings include 30 to 45 minutes of a breakdown of all the major transits of the year ahead for each sun and rising signs. You get all of them with this package, which is a great deal. It's like 10 hours worth of content, 8, 9, 10 hours, somewhere in there. I haven't finished recording all of them yet. So as of the time I'm recording this, I'm anticipating it'll land around 10 hours. But yeah, anyway, so you scroll up. You'll see those horoscope videos will all be delivered to you right around January 1st when the Kickstarter ends. Scroll up a little bit more, you'll find The Oracle Speaks, which is my book, and this is being released chapter by chapter. It is a book about the inner experience of learning to speak with oracles, and it is being released chapter by chapter in both text and audiobook form, so you can listen along to my new book. And that takes us up to the Astrology of 2025 video. This, for your donation at the $50 level, gives you an exclusive talk breaking down all of the major astrological transits of 2025. I look in depth at some of the biggest things happening in the year ahead and break them down in advance. And that's the only place I release that video or that take on the whole year ahead. Finally, at the very top, the most basic level of donation, you'll see the Astrology of 2025 calendar. This is a PDF calendar we design and make that allows you to track and move along with the astrology as the year unfolds. This is also great if you want to track what we're going to be talking about week by week on my channel. You'll get a glimpse at the biggest transits of each day and month and week. And that will give you some sense of where we're heading with our coverage of the astrology on the channel as the year unfolds. So again, any questions about any of the rewards that you see, email us info@nightlightastrology. Link is in the description, comments, or on the website, nightlightastrology.com. Help us get to 1,937 backers by January 1st. We deeply appreciate your contribution. We try to make sure we have some really special rewards to say thank you when you contribute. All right, take it easy. Bye.